Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Mark Dixon, founder and CEO of IWG, a global leader in hybrid work solutions and workspace brands. He joins me to discuss what real estate will look like with repurposed office space. It is great to see you. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Hey there. Thanks very much.
You got it. What are the trends that you're watching for 2023?
Well, it's 2023 and beyond, but 23 is going to be a year of quite significant change in the way companies want to support and employ their people, and in particular, the way they use real estate. So it's a year of change. I mean, you've got hybrid working becoming more the norm for many companies. Plus, you've got what looks like quite a difficult global economy, which is forcing CFOs and CEOs to look for ways to reduce costs. And you've got people that don't want to commute. So you've got a lot of pressure for change in workplace.
How much money would an employee be willing to give up to work in a hybrid setting?
I'm not sure they'd be willing to give up money. There's been quite a bit of research here, but they would change jobs if they were not allowed to hybrid work. I mean, look, the cost of commuting in many cities, this can cost you $5,000 or $10,000 a year, plus, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes more a day. And so I think it makes, talent more mobile, then you're less sticky if you don't allow them to work closer to where they live and you force them to commute every day. I think that is the result. I think, look, it's quite difficult to ask people to reduce pay, but it's on their mind, certainly every time they're sitting on a train or in a car in traffic saying, what am I doing wasting 2 hours a day for? That is worth something, but it's probably worth looking for another job more than a reduction in pay.
Globally, what will real estate look like in 2023, and how will the sector focus on the repurposing of unused office space?
Well, I think the sector is already focused on repurposing. I mean, you can see it in retail. You look at retail real estate, there's a lot of repurposing that's gone on. If you look at, there's a lot of the companies that really rethought what they are doing, and they've moved from retail to other types of lifestyle support activities. Well, they've got the real estate. What are they going to do with it? I think with office buildings, you're going to see more of it repurposed into housing. That's quite an expensive change, but you're going to see it. I've seen a lot of co-living as an option here, in particular in the CBDs, where there's an oversupply of office buildings and a big undersupply of affordable housing for people starting in work, young couples, and so it's quite hard for them to get going. But there is a huge change going on. There's a lot of repurposing. I think what's going to be most important is for the cities themselves to get behind and support, getting affordable accommodation for young people. Cities like Paris are doing this, but it's not that widespread yet. And that, cities are going to need to sort of become a bit like villages and towns. The 15-minute city will have to be part of the cityscape in future, because people they don't want to commute from one end of a city to another. So affordable housing near where people are working are going to be important.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. You have certainly the mayor of New York City, where we are headquartered from. They're looking for different ways to reboost the local economy, because people aren't coming in 5 days a week anymore. So if you do have people where it's affordable, where they can live and they can continue to spend money casually in the city, I mean, it seems like a sensible solution to me.
It's obvious. It's obvious, but
right.
A lot of city leaders just can't see it. They're still, their mindset is, no, I need jobs, I need offices, but they haven't worked out that the world has changed. And you can't have jobs and offices without somewhere for people to live that's close by. Right. And they need to rethink the city planning and really with purpose set this up. They need to release planning rules. They need to insist upon the conversion of brownfield sites. We can see some cities doing it. They're insisting, like Paris is insisting, that empty offices can't just sit there. If it's not going to get let, you've got to repurpose it. We're not going to have it sitting there using up the city space without it being used for another purpose.
Seems logical to me. Which market is the quickest to adapt to hybrid work trends? And are companies seeing cost-cutting benefits due to the hybrid environment?
It's a universal thing. We operate in 120 countries. What's surprising is the adoption in somewhere that's very traditional, like Japan. You know, Japan has been one of the ones that's changed the most to hybrid working. That's because the commute in Japan is so long. You know, people are coming from a long way outside of the big cities, and so on. So we've seen a big change in places like Japan. And really, you know, it's very interesting looking at the statistics. It relates to the length of the commute every time. So where it's changing most of all, Bay Area, San Francisco, and San Francisco downtown, very, very time-consuming commutes. They may be quite short distances, but it takes ages to get to your destination. Same with Los Angeles, parts of Los Angeles, they're just gridlocked. And so folks don't want to, you know, they don't want to travel to go to an office, spending a long time in a car. So where the commute's either expensive or time-consuming, those are the places that are changing the most. And that's where hybrid working is being adopted faster than anywhere else. Look, tech, you've seen a lot of tech layoffs. On top of the tech layoffs, you've got tech companies moving to hybrid working. You know, they're tech companies. They can do everything online. They need to get people together, excuse me, some of the time, but they don't need them together all of the time. So they're big adopters as well. So it's both by industry, but it's also, you know, by difficulty of commute.
Mm-hmm. Specific to IWG, where are you growing? And do you expect the hybrid work environment to be a longer term trend, or will this phase out as COVID is in the rearview mirror and new workers enter the field?
I think the hybrid working will grow and grow. Now, first of all, why? You know, because the tech's just going to get better and better. If you'd have been speaking to me 2-3 years ago, you know, we would have been talking about video conferencing, which was slow, clunky, difficult to get on, not a good experience. You know, we can have a Zoom conference today or a Teams conference where automatically the technology is infinitely better. One thing I can guarantee that in 3 years' time, you won't recognize the tech. It will be so much better in 3 years' time. And also, it's not just the communications tools, it's the management tools. What we're seeing is a lot of corporations adjusting quickly to the way they manage their teams who are remote. I mean, by the way, they weren't great, some of them, in managing their teams when they're all in the same building. They're actually doing a better job managing people when they're working in remote locations. So it's going to grow and grow. If you look at younger generation, they, quite hard to get them to commute. Now, they will work in cities, and young people do want to work in cities, but only if it's an acceptable commute or they can afford to live in the city. Great way to start your career like that. But we can equally see companies onboarding, training, mentoring workers in a better way than ever before, using Teams and Zoom and different techniques to make sure that people get off to a good start in their career. So, and it's universally popular. You will not be able to find anyone on any train anywhere in the world that says, hey, I really like commuting. Well, there will be a few, but you probably have to ask 100 to find one. So this is just technology doing its work, changing industries, and it's changing the real estate industry, and it will be changed beyond recognition in the next 5 years.
All right, Mark, we appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you very much.